Hey guys, VaulSC here. Hope that you are doing well. You might remember in the very recent past, in the last number of days, I made a post on Discord channel that I run the Discord server VaulSC Gaming in the announcements, inviting you guys to vote in a fun little poll designed to just take a bit of a glimpse, bit of a guess at what people think the best and worst Infinity factions are now that we are into N4 a number of weeks in. I also made a post on Facebook inviting people on the WGC Facebook group to respond to the poll as well. And just having a look at it, 83 people have responded. Before we get into the video, I want to remind everybody that obviously we are quite early into N4. There are still changes and updates being made. It is a period of time where we're experimenting, and there are still a lot of things we haven't discovered. We haven't had a lot of time to practice. There have been some people who said that doing a poll like this was really a bad idea and was too early. I just want to address those people really quickly in saying, look, it's not as though anybody's going to be going, hey, look at this tier list. This is objective fact. This has happened within a controlled lab environment setting, and we're going to use this as a mandate for talking to CB and asking them to make nerfs to the powerful stuff and buffs to the weak stuff. Obviously, that's not going to be happening, and obviously, I'm not going to be doing that. I'm not as dumb as I look, guys. Come on. Give me a break. The other thing is that if there's any fear that new players will be looking at a tier list like this and feeling bad about the faction they just bought, or deciding to buy a faction that's not right for them based on a tier list, guys, I mean, if there are people out there who are that impressionable, I don't think we're going to stop them from doing this or that anyway. And look, honestly, let me be the one to tell you, if you like a faction because of the models, that should be the faction that you buy and that you play. If you like a faction because of their style or because they have a cool tag or something like that, that's the faction you should play. You shouldn't be making decisions based on a silly tier list like this. So get off my back about it, guys. It's just really a fun thing. We don't want to take it too seriously. Having said all of that, if 83 people who play Infinity all respond to the poll and there's a lot of consensus, that will be interesting, but only because it will tell us where to look for consistency. If lots of people say one faction is strong and a lot of people say one faction is weak, that gives us a starting point so that we can then go into Army Builder, we can play some test games, we can ask some questions, and we can discover why the community thinks that some factions are stronger than others right now in N4. As always, video on the 23rd of October is what my calendar says. Things are always going to change. If you're watching this video months down the track and you're treating This Is Gospel and the tier list as being indicative of what the meta is really like, come on, you're smarter than that. It's just a snapshot opinion poll of right now for a bit of fun and, maybe as a point of learning to kickstart us on a bit of a journey. All right, so I've said my disclaimers. Let me just get out of the way and we will have a look at what you guys thought of faction balance right now. FYI, if you want to click on the link in the video description, it will take you to this tier maker page where the template is available if you really want to make your own tier list and share that on social media, or just message your friends on Facebook or wherever you might be sending stuff and tell them how you rank the factions. You can use my pre-made Microsoft Paint edited faction icons with this tier list. You can also, if you don't like the tier structure, if you want to have more tiers or fewer tiers, you can of course do that. Okay, so this tier list is not my personal tier list. Just want you guys to know that this is not me trying to tell you that these factions are where they are because where they are. This is based on Google template, Google survey here. So 83 responses. First question you can see, Combined Army and Nomads right at the top, and Varuna behind them, Corregidor as well, and then a little bit further behind we have Assassins, OSS. So that's why I've put them in the S tier, as you guys can see here. Then we come down to the next question. It's a little bit more vague, but people seem to have a fairly strong consensus that Shazvasti is definitely in this tier. So Shazvasti is in Tier A. With the other ones coming behind them, Corregidor, Yuching, Varuna. Well, if we come look at this, Corregidor's already been well voted into S tier. I've decided to put them there. And then people didn't seem to vote for Vanilla Yuching to be in S tier, so I've put them in A tier, as indicated by the response to that question. I've taken a little bit of liberty with this, where there's a bit of ambiguity. I've just decided to make a call to put them on one tier or another, because physically you've got to actually have the image in one slot. But just bear in mind that maybe a lot of people voted for Varuna to be S tier, and a whole bunch of people voted for Varuna to be A tier. The data is a little bit vague, as you'd imagine it would be, as it would be expected. But what's interesting to us is that we find also some consensus. Like, for example, if 83 people vote and 43 people specifically think that Shazvasti are tier 2, there must be something to that, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Then we asked, who would be in B tier. This is, again, a little bit more vague. There's a strong consensus here for the Yuching sectorials, Imperial Service, Invincible Army, White Banner. So they have gone into this next tier down, along with other subsectorials from some other factions. O12, it didn't seem very clear and obvious. I've ended up putting them in B tier. I didn't ask a question about the tier directly below that. I just went straight for, please put a check mark for any number of factions you think are the worst. And there was pretty strong consensus and support for people thinking that US Ariadna is at the bottom, and that Druze is at the bottom, and then followed behind that maybe Ikari, Foreign Company, Starco, factions like that, maybe military orders. And what I've done with Tier C here is I've basically just grouped the remaining factions where there wasn't really that much consensus. Some people have actually given Vanilla Hakislam a much higher nod and thinking that they're further up the chain. Some people think that they're a bit lower. So Tier C is just, again, the most vague tier where I can't really speak for this. There's probably going to be a lot of people in the audience who think that JSA is a lot higher than this. There's probably going to be some people in the audience who think that Star Martyr is actually at the bottom, with Cosmoflight at the bottom, Ariadna at the bottom, along with other ones here. But other people who may think they're higher, that's fine. What do you expect? It's a community poll. It's a tier list. But what I want to take the time to do now is just try and address the points where there seems to be some agreement amongst people who are voting. If we come back to the initial question, where people are saying, with a fair bit of confidence, mind you, I mean, you're talking about 61% of the S tier vote is going to, it's not divided up like in a pie chart like that, but 61% of people who responded were confident enough to say that, yep, Nomads is definitely my top tier, and 65% of people who responded said that, yep, confident saying that Vanilla Combined Army right at the top. So why might that be? So one theory is that a lot of people who respond to these surveys are people who watch my YouTube channel, who are just constantly hearing me in their airwaves, just going on about how overpowered Combined Army is and how I play them a whole lot, and my tournament run with them. That may be part of it. However, I've said absolutely nothing about Vanilla Nomads. In fact, every time I've mentioned them, I've said I've just got no idea. And a similar number of people are saying, yep, Vanilla Nomads are absolutely number one. After I saw the results of this poll, I spent half a day just looking at Army Builder, trying to study Vanilla Nomads. And I also played a practice game with them, which you can see on my YouTube channel. It's the previous video to this one. And I was like, oh yeah, they are busted. They are actually overpowered. No wonder. So that's where the consensus actually is. So with people saying Combined Army are at the top, and people saying that Nomads are also at the top, I don't think it's a direct result of me influencing people, because Nomads have been voted up despite me not saying anything about them, and Combined Army have been voted up at the top as well, although I've said a lot of things about them as well. Let's talk specifically about these factions. So, Combined Army has the Avatar. It is the best tag in the game. You've got 2 extra Lieutenant orders which get turned into regular orders. It's got the Tactical Awareness order as well. It's Armor 9. The crit mechanic really helps it. The Strategos has been changed a little bit, but it doesn't really matter that much. Having an damage 16, AP HMG, sorry, multi-HMG with Ballistic Skill 15, it's a big deal. But then you're comboing the Avatar with your Specular Killer with Kodali. It is just a really absolute beast. On top of that, you have the ability to have the Anathematic, which is a lot cheaper. It's got Trinity with +1 burst. Hacking is a lot more effective now. It's a real beast as well. Norkius with a whole bunch of really powerful tools. Impersonating, running across the board, eating people up with ease. The dodging game really helps him. He's amazing there. And then, of course, you've got the buffs to Imitrons, the buffs to Ardrones, the buffs to Icadrons. The Shroudeds are a whole lot better. They've just got this suite of tools, which are excellent. The Raziat being able to deploy in the enemy's deployment zone and then blast them with the Spitfire. Combined Army are just really hot right now, and that's why people think that they are at the top. Nomads, though, it's a bit of a different story. After some investigation, I realized that, okay, so puppet bots, although they were overpowered in N3, they were better proportionally to everything else. Some stuff got nerfed in N4. Toha's not even there at the moment. Gazimatiwa's been completely wrecked. Well, not wrecked, they've been balanced. That's good. Post-Human Mark II's come down in effectiveness. Just stuff like that's been addressed, but the puppet bots have been made better. So you've got the Puppet Master at the back who's dirt cheap, provides counterintelligence for next to nothing. Then you've got these 3 bots, so even though everybody else only has 15 models in their list, you've got 15 models plus the 3 bots, which don't cost you an order when they're not there. They have 2 wounds each. They have flash pulses, which are better now because they cause 2 BTS checks. So they are just deadly serious ridiculous. You also have Jazz and Billy, who were really undercosted in N3. They're still undercosted now, and their hacking effectively is better because there's more stuff to hack. Billy being a really useful and undercosted flash pulse bot. You've got the Uberfall Commando team, the Pupniks and the Chimera. Laughably, she's actually the best in close combat in the game now because a Natural Born Warrior stacks with martial arts. So you fight somebody like Mushashi. Well, he suddenly loses his martial arts. She imposes the MA3, MA2 buff on him, so -3 to him, +3 to you, and a further -3 because ICOL just got changed to a flat -3. She's still got the viral close combat weapon, and she's going to move in with a Pupnik as well. Not to mention the fact that she's got Eclipse grenades now, which are much better than smoke grenades because MSV1 got a buff, so everything's able to see across the board regardless of smoke, but Eclipse grenades will shut that down. Now, their weakness, I think, is that they don't have stealth. So if you throw the smoke, then move through the smoke to get into close combat, the enemy might dodge away. But it's a double-edged sword. When they're trying to come to your deployment zone, your Pupniks are dodging and suddenly standing up and getting line of sight for discovers, trying to engage. They are so much better at doing that now. So there are 3 examples of things in Vanilla Nomads which are just busted. And we haven't even talked about Morans, about Zeros, about the Salamandra, really strong things that they have which aren't at the level of the things I just mentioned, but I'm just giving you guys some reasons why Nomads are regarded as like a top tier S tier faction. So I kind of agree with the community here. I agree with you guys placing these guys at the top. You guys all know how I feel about Varuna. Helots didn't get any worse. Cutters just got cheaper. They're the second best tag in the game. Kamau Sniper is just as broken as ever. You can now fit the Cutter and the Kamau Sniper and the Helots and everything all in one list very easily. It's just bonkers. Corregidor, they are right at the top there because they have some of the good things that Vanilla Nomads have. They don't get to take the puppet bots, if I recall correctly, but instead they get McMurrah. They can form some very powerful link teams. They have so many flexible wildcards. Unsurprising that people think that they're at the top. Assassin's strong primarily because of the buff to the Asawira and the support the Asawira gets. You can still take relatively cheap, Ghazi Matiwa for jammers if you really want to, but the hidden deployment guy with the Panzerfaust is good. The Fides are very strong. OSS, I've played a lot of them recently. We've seen that post-humans are actually still very powerful. You simply take the Mark II Hacker instead of the Mark II Sniper. That's the change that you make. The Marut is very affordable now. You can take a 15 order list featuring the Marut with the post-humans there. You guys have seen my bat reps. You've seen how that's turned out. OSS, powerful hacking faction. Hacking very relevant now, like we said. Netrod's been buffed. All the Dakinis being able to go prone now is a huge deal. So you have your very powerful link team. They can set up more effectively and efficiently and move out and camp positions like never before. You can also put assisted fire on them and stack that with your Apsaris buff, so you could just be blasting them with your HMG 5 dice, hitting them on 19s, as absurd as that sounds. I'm not going to give you an in-detail talk about every single sectorial here, just because that would take too long, and obviously I'm unequipped to do that, having not studied every single sectorial. I generally agree with this A tier lineup here. I've been trying to write lists for Shazvasti and Yu Ching and Vanilla LF. Haven't come up with anything that's oppressive as the S tier stuff. People quite like TAC. TAC's definitely the way to go if you want to play Ariadna. They're definitely stronger than Ariadna Cosmoflot and US Ariadna in my opinion. But I still do think they struggle because these top tier factions have hacking, which is a great answer to enemy tags and all the spotlight showing up everywhere. TAC, Ariadna can't really do that. Sphelerema, they are very beastly because of the Jotun and the Knight of Justice Link team and the Kahus, but without the Cutter, I feel like they don't quite get to Varuna level. And Vanilla Pano, a bit reliant on Joan of Arc. I find they're a little bit predictable. Personally, I might have put them in S tier myself, but you guys didn't think so. Mid tier here, I mean, I quite like White Banner. I personally would have had White Banner a little bit higher, but that's probably just a symptom of me actually having studied them a bit more. I haven't really put a lot of thought into these other factions. I've been trying to get Onyx to work, can't really come up with anything. Morites, definitely don't like them as much as Vanilla combined. ISS, I'd actually put at bottom tier personally. They've been nerfed hard from N3 with the unit cap and their lack of a really good tag, really good APHMGs. As we said, this group here, it's just really up in the air. We don't have a strong idea of what's hot, what's not. I suspect that Vanilla Ariadna probably should be a bit higher. I suspect that JSA probably should be a bit higher. It's a bit dependent what kind of tables you guys are playing on in your metas. Do you show up to tournaments to really open tables where people can see for miles, or is it jam-packed full of these buildings and obscure lines of sight? As for this bottom tier here, I actually think that Druze are a bit higher than that. Druze have received a big buff now. They can take that Wolver bounty hunter guy, Amadeus, wolf guy. Valeria Gromos going in the Link team, providing the pitcher for hacking, gives them a strong hacking game. Scarface has been buffed significantly. Saito Togan is actually more of a premium now because he has juicier targets to attack, given that we're playing more compact lists. I personally think Druze are a lot higher than this. I agree that US Ariadna is right at the bottom. They just don't really have the tools for N4 at the moment. Their best strength was these large lists with a lot of smoke throwing. Now they're coming up against MSV1 seeing through smoke. It's harder for them to get to bear and kill enemy tags. They've got no hacking game. It's not great for them. I've tried to get Foreign Company to work. Again, I think they have some hacking gimmicks. I probably would rate them a bit higher. I think there's a lot of you in the audience just spewing that we've got military orders at the bottom. But, you know, look, the crowd may be right. There may be a pretty bleak future for military orders. We don't know. Ikari definitely worse than they were in N3. I don't know what the best Ikari build is right now. Possibly the Wu Ming, but they are lacking an AP HMG in my view. The Brawler Sniper doesn't quite cut it. So I don't 100% know, but I think that people responding to the survey generally are along the right lines. This is fueled by quite a few games. I've been seeing you guys play a ton of games in Discord, and I've been hearing a lot about people's matches. There's some pretty robust discussion going on in social media and in Discords about the game right now. So this tier list isn't accurate. But it's not, you know, way off. It's not like we're living in opposite land looking at this tier list where it's entirely wrong. There are some grains of truth to what we're seeing here. This top group of S tier factions, I think this is along the right lines, especially if we go first to last. Combined Army, then Nomads, then Varuna, then Corregidor, then Assassins, then OSS. Maybe not quite in that order. I mean, Nomads may be better than Combined Army. Corregidor, I'm not sure. I mean, OSS might actually be down a tier. It might be further higher up in the S group. Not 100% sure. This group of A-list factions here, A tier, I'm pretty confident that these ones are definitely better than the ones we've got down in C and D. But again, guesswork, guys. So please don't be angry about this tier list. Don't be angry about the fact that I made this video. We are just having some fun here. I don't think that there are going to be any negative consequences. I don't imagine newbie players seeing this tier list and being reduced to tiers that we said that the army they just spent money on is bad. If you play well with Infinity, you could win a tournament with these factions down the bottom. It's less likely in my view, but it's possible. If you're a new player and you take an S tier faction, it's likely you'll still get crushed by people who know the game better than you, because Infinity can be quite unforgiving. If you make some really big mistakes during your games and your opponent, you know, capitalizes on that and punishes you for it, it's not going to really matter about faction balance. Faction balance is something which is more prevalent when very, very good players are playing each other at top level over a number of different games. That's when faction balance starts to become more of an issue, and this gives us an indicator of it, just not a hard and fast, you know, conclusive view of it. So I hope that you guys understand that, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. The tier list maker is in the video description link. Feel free to post your own tier list and have a bit of fun with it. But more importantly, continue to play Info, continue to learn about it and discover with it, and maybe in a couple of months we'll have a completely different look at what's good and what's not. So thank you again, guys. We'll see you next time.